With that, let's begin. So the first topic I want to discuss are the many different versions of this game. Even on the NES, you have 3 different versions. You have the standalone cart, the SMB Duck Hunt cart, and the SMB Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet cart. Fortunately, for this category, all versions are equal, so you can use whatever you happen to own. I think everybody owns this game, and if you don't, well, I think it's the cheapest cart you can buy for the NES, so you're in luck. In terms of re-releases, you have a lot of different versions as well. You have the Wii Virtual Console, the Wii U Virtual Console, the 3DS Virtual Console. You always have emulator. All those are fine, although I don't think you should play on the 3DS, just because I think that the controls are awful, and it may or may not be slower. I know that the Virtual Console runs at a slower frame rate, but I believe you can convert that to you can convert the time to make up for it. Nick J can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. And the Wii U Virtual Console, the benefit there is that you have save states without doing anything crazy, so that makes it extremely useful for practicing if you don't have access to a flash cart on your NES or an emulator. And yes, emulators are allowed. The previous record in this category by Blubler is on emulator. And due to the way we time this game at a very high level, it doesn't actually matter if the emulator runs fast or slow, although NES emulators are all really accurate now. But we basically recreate the run and get the frame count and multiply by the frame rate of the NES for an exact time. No correcting needed for the Virtual Console. Okay. I thought there was some frame rate conversion, but I guess not. But the Virtual Console, I believe, does run slightly slower than the NES. You can use the All-Stars cart for the Super Nintendo if you just want to learn the game and you have no other option, but that's considered a completely different category, and that is much harder. I think the record in that's like a 503 or a 504 or 505 or something by Andrew G. And in terms of the Game Boy releases, like Super Mario Bros. Deluxe or Super Mario Bros. For the Game Boy Advance, don't play those versions. Just don't. Oh, no correcting needed. Okay, so there is a conversion. But it's a very minor, and once you get to such a high level, you'll probably be playing on console anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you have many different options here, all of which can work for you, and they're very easy to get. So you should have no trouble finding a way to play this game. So one thing that everybody should know is that there is a continue code in this game, and it is allowed. So I'm going to load a save state up here in a world other than 1. Let's try world 8. And I'm going to purposely game over to show you this code. It's very simple. All you do is when you game over and you're taken back to the title screen, you just hold A before pressing start to play again. And instead of starting at 1-1, you will start at the world that you were last on. The first level of the world you were last on. So here's the game over. We're back at the title screen. I'm holding A. Press start. We're back at 8-1. You need a surprisingly large number of people I've talked to were not aware that you could do that. And I just felt awful. So I wanted to make sure that I include that very early in this tutorial. Especially if you don't have the ability to use save states on console. This code makes it very easy to practice later worlds in the game without having to constantly warp back to them or hoard lives. The next topic, and this is a very important one, are frame rules. If you've ever watched a speedrunner of Mario 1, or at least a high-level speedrunner who actually knows what they are, you'll hear them refer to gaining or losing frame rules. And then when you ask them what that means, they'll tell you it's a group of 21 frames, And then you might say, well, why 21 frames? Why does that have a special name? And then the streamer will probably defer your question or just ignore you because it takes too long to explain. So I'm going to explain exactly what frame rules are right now. So in this game, level transitions can only occur every 21 frames from when the game is turned on. And that might not mean a whole lot to you. So I have a very simple analogy that covers this. And my chat has heard it many times. It's the bus analogy. Imagine that this little castle that Mario walks into after completing each level is not a castle but a bus stop. And imagine that in the Mushroom Kingdom, buses operate on a very, very specific schedule such that every 0.35 seconds, which is 21 frames, a bus departs a station and takes its passengers to the following level. And Mario must ride one of these buses to get there. So no matter how quickly you play a level, you have to wait for the next bus to depart to get there. So if you take a perfect playthrough through any level in the game, it's subjected to the same rules. It has to wait on the bus just like everybody else. And what this means is that when you speedrun the game, you don't have to play each level perfectly to avoid losing time. You just have to play each level well enough to get on the same bus as somebody who did play perfectly. So sometimes the perfect time in a level comes in just before a bus leaves. That means that you have very little leeway. You pretty much do have to play perfectly in order to get on the same bus. There's other levels where the perfect time comes in just after a bus has already departed. On those levels, you might have 10 plus frames that you can afford to lose and not actually lose any time in the speedrun. That's very important for this game because it controls, the frame rule controls a lot of the elements that you might consider RNG, like the way Hammer Bros behave, or the way Bullet Bill cannons shoot, or the way Podoboos jump. By knowing the frame rule that you're on, all those things will behave the same way every time you're on that frame rule. So if you're on a speed run, and let's say you're 2 frame rules behind your personal best at a certain level, every time you're 2 frame rules behind your personal best, all those things will behave the same way. What this also means is that you can only gain or lose time in increments of 0.35 seconds. Oh, the stream is lagging. I was afraid of this. Oh, maybe I'll just hope it goes away. I see that I've dropped some frames, but we'll see if it continues to be a problem. Anyway, as I was saying, since level transitions can only happen every 21 frames, you can only gain or lose time in chunks of 21 frames, no matter how fast you play the game or how slow you play it. That's why if you watch a speedrun, if they're splitting accurately, all of their splits will either be plus or minus 0.0 or plus or minus some multiple of 0.35. You'll rarely see like plus 0.1 splits or plus 0.2 splits unless they actually missplit. So your goal in this game is not to play each level perfectly. It's to play each level well enough to get the same time as somebody who did play it perfectly, pretty much. The only level where frame rules don't matter, the only level where it doesn't matter is 8-4. That's the last level of the game, so there is no transition to the next level where you have to wait for a bus. In 8-4, every frame counts. So that's why you'll see a lot. That's where the variation comes from in the top runners' times. Usually they make it to 8-4 tied to the frame with each other. And 8-4 accounts for all the variance in their actual end times. Now, for the next topic, it's a very hotly debated topic, and especially in YouTube comments and comments from people who are not familiar with speedrunning the game. It might be the most common question asked about this category, and that is, why does the speedrunner jump at the top of the flagpole instead of the bottom? With the assumption that if you were to jump at the bottom of the flag, Mario can just get right off. He doesn't have to slide down the pole and then get off. So it makes sense that people think that, hey, the bottom must be faster. Well, in actuality, no matter where you jump onto the flagpole, Mario has to wait on it until the flag comes down. So if I get on the very bottom right here, he just sits there until the flag comes down. Then he gets off and walks to the castle. If I jump at the top, he comes down with the flag and then he goes to the castle. So if you were to show somebody that, who's thought the bottom was faster, they'd say, oh, I guess it doesn't matter then. Well, it turns out it actually does matter, but it's the opposite of what you would think. The top is actually faster, and it has to do with the way the physics work in this game. For whatever reason, in this game, if Mario's at a standstill, he will in general, he'll accelerate faster when moving in the direction opposite that of which he's facing. So if I'm sitting here, let's say I'm sitting here and I want to be at maximum speed running to the right as quickly as possible, holding B and right is not the fastest way to do that. What you would actually want to do is tap left for 1 frame, do a 1 frame jump, and then start moving right when you're in the air, so that you would be accelerating while facing left. And if you watch a TAS, it does it very well. I can't really do it well here because it's such a specific trick, but the gist of it is that Mario accelerates faster when moving in the direction opposite that of which he's facing. And you might be asking why this matters for the flagpole. Well, if I jump at the top of the flagpole, Mario actually dismounts the pole at a higher point than he would if you grab the bottom. So you can see here, he's actually not even going to touch that block that the flagpole is sitting on. And not only that, the script in the end level script that the game runs after you touch the flagpole has Mario moving to the right to the castle, but dismounting the flagpole facing left. So he is taking advantage of that increased acceleration that I just discussed during this little cutscene. And that actually adds up to, I think, 10 or 11 frames by getting the top of the flagpole versus the bottom. See if you can see this. Watch how high he gets off. He doesn't even touch the block. But if I touch the bottom, he has no airtime whatsoever. He just walks off of the block. And that might seem like such a minor difference, but it turns out that on almost every level, you're going to lose a frame rule if you hit the bottom of the flagpole instead of the top. And in a run this tight, you take let's see how many flagpoles there are. There's 1-1, 4-1, 8-1, 8-2, 8-3. That's 5 flagpoles. So if you times that 5 times 0.35, that's over a second and a half you would lose just from not hitting the top of the pole in a run where almost every frame counts. So the gist of this section is the top is faster, always hit the top. And it's faster because Mario gets some air time when he gets off of the pole. He gets some airtime when he gets off of the pole and takes advantage of that increased acceleration. So that's why it's faster to jump at the top. And you'll want to do it on every level. The next topic is something that kind of annoying in this game, and if you don't understand why it happens, it can be really annoying. Oh, why did the split stop? Next topic is fireworks. So in this game, you might notice that sometimes when you beat a level, there's a little fireworks show. And that's fine in a casual playthrough, but in a speedrun, it's a waste of time. And what controls whether those fireworks come is actually your timer. It's the last digit of your timer. In this case, it's the 9 at this particular time. If that last digit is a 1, a 3, or a 6, you're going to get a fireworks show. And it will have however many fireworks that last digit is. So a 1 yields 1 firework, a 3 yields 3, and a 6 yields 6. And just to show you the fireworks show, you see I got 6 fireworks there. So in general, if you're approaching the flagpole and you think you're going to get a 6 or a 3, you should wait and then take a minor time loss to avoid taking a bigger time loss during the fireworks show. In the case of one firework, it's really not beneficial to wait. You should just take it, because if you slow down and avoid, I think it ends up being about a wash. In this particular run, if you're going for all optimal strats on every level, you're really only going to have to deal with fireworks on one level, and that's 8-3. That's the only level in the record where you'll see the runner intentionally delay himself at the end to avoid getting fireworks. So it's not a big concern. I mean, if you make a mistake in any level, then fireworks are on the table and you better pay attention. But as you play and get more and more consistent, you'll get a feel for when the fireworks would occur and if you need to avoid them or not. Just to clarify, the last digit is the rightmost digit. So at this particular time of 298, the rightmost digit is the 8. That's the one you need to look at to see if you'll get fireworks or not. You can still get really good times with fireworks. I think 6 fireworks is maybe a 3.5 second loss or something. I think I had a 5:02 PB at one point that had 3 fireworks, so it's not the end of the world, but you definitely want to avoid them if you can. So the next topic is splitting. You'll want to split accurately in this game, and you'll want to split at the right time. And the reason you want to split accurately is because on levels that have RNG elements, such as 8-3 with the Hammer Bros, an accurate split will tell you what frame rule you're on in relation to your PB, and that will tell you what the Hammer Bros are going to do. And when you know what the Hammer Bros are going to do, they're not very scary at all. The general rule for when to split, you can always split when you, after this screen, this little black screen that shows Mario's life counter that comes up between every level, you can always split on the first beat of the music when the next level loads. Not when the sky appears. Actually, I guess it all happens at the same time, but if you just think of when the first beat appears, that's the easiest way. It's a very good, you have a nice little flicker there where the live screen disappears for a second, and then you're hit with the music. So it actually becomes quite simple to split accurately in this game. And if you've ever watched my stream, you'll see that my splits are always 0.0. And it'll be very obvious. Like if you happen to split a little bit early or late, it'll be a 0.1. But if you're splitting like 0.3 late, that means you actually lost a frame rule or something. So you don't have to worry about being super exact to tell what frame rule you're on. But the problem with this, so you can always split right when the live screen disappears and you hear the music kick in, even after 1-1-1. When the next thing is that little cutscene to 1-2. Because that cutscene follows the same frame rules. So that's a consistent rule across every level in the game, and if you want to do that, you can. The problem with that is that the time that you're splitting, you're actually in control of Mario. And depending on your setup, it might be very difficult to both have Mario run to the right and hit a button at the same time. Fortunately, on almost every level, you can instead split after this little cutscene, right when the screen turns black. So right there, you could split. And that'll work on any level that you beat with a flagpole. In this category, that'll work on all but 2 levels. Level 1-2 is beaten using a warp zone, so there's no flag, and level 4-2 is beaten using a warp zone. And the thing about the warp zones is that when you go down the pipe and the screen turns black, the frame rule hasn't been taken into account at that point. So you can't split when the screen turns black there. You have to instead wait until you gain control in the following level, which would be 4-1 and 8-1. It's not, knowing the frame rule for those levels isn't a big deal, so it's okay if that split isn't so accurate, because there's no real RNG that I'm aware of in 8-1 or 4-1, and 4-1's a simple level. The levels where you'll want to have accurate splits are when you beat 8-2 and possibly 8-1. Those are the levels where you'll want to know the frame rule you're on for the following level. But if you're splitting accurately, you should always see splits that are either even with your PB or plus or minus some multiple of 0.35. So you'll see a lot of 0.3 splits or 0.7 splits or 1.0/1.1 splits and so forth. And as you get more and more consistent at the game, you should rarely be gaining or losing multiple seconds. And then following the splits, the actual timing for the category. Timing begins when you gain control on the first level, not when you press start at this screen. Timing begins right after this black screen disappears. Right when you had split in 4-1 and 8-1. As soon as you gain control of Mario, as soon as that first beat of the music comes in. I think technically if you're in an emulator and trying to identify the exact first frame to count, I think it's the first frame that the 400 appears under time. But until you're getting times like below 505 or so, your live split time should be sufficient. Time ends. I'm not going to actually play to the end, but hopefully all of you know what the end of the game is like. Timing ends upon touching the axe in level 8-4. It doesn't. You don't have to wait for Toad to appear or anything. It's just the frame you touch the axe. You can stop your timer. And again, the exact frame is when Mario touches the axe, all the sprites disappear on the frame after that. So that's what uses the ending frame when all those sprites are gone. So you take that frame minus the frame where time appeared to get the exact frame count from a recording. And that should cover... Oh, I guess, just for curiosity's sake, Blubler discovered a way to get the exact time of any run regardless of the recording method. And it's not going... For anybody watching this, it's probably not going to be relevant for you until you start getting into the 457... low 458 time range. But basically the game has become so optimized that you can now just load the what's called the human theory task, which is a task containing only strats that a human is capable of doing. You can just load that up in an emulator and wait a couple of frames at the end of it until you wait a couple of frames at the end of the water section in level 8-4 and keep entering the last room of the game with Bowser until you get the same Bowser pattern, because his pattern changes every single frame. And once you get the same pattern, then you can get the end frame from the emulator and get the beginning frame from the human theory task and then multiply it by the frame rate of the actual NES. So regardless of the recording method, we can get the exact time of the run, which is more accurate than just taking a recording and counting frames from that and dividing by the frame rate of the recording like you would do with most other games. Alright, so that covers all of the non-level specific strategies that I wanted to discuss. Now that we're in the individual level segments, in the bottom left corner I'll be playing the this level from the record video, just on a loop, so that you can see any part of it at any time while I'm discussing whatever I happen to be talking about at the time. So anyway, 1-1. Your goal here to start this level is nothing special. You just want to get to this specific pipe. I think it's, what's the 4th pipe in the level? Because this is where you're going to go down. Taking this underground route is faster through 1-1 than taking the above ground route. And just in case you're wondering, hitting blocks and jumping has no effect on your speed, so you feel free to express yourself however you want here. Everybody does it a little bit differently. Doesn't matter how you do it, just get to this pipe. And the final jump to this pipe is... it's not trivial. Like, you can easily fall short. I do it sometimes in races like that, then I have to jump back up, and it's just an awful mess. So if you're not comfortable making this jump across, you can just run off, hit the Goomba, then jump up and get in the pipe as well. Either way works. It's whatever your preference is. Now, this underground section is... it's oddly hard to do this as quickly as you want to. You want to exit this section with a 380 on the timer. You can see I got a 379 right there. The difference between getting a 379 and a 380 in almost every case is going to be a frame rule. And this is something that is probably going to take you much longer than you think it would to actually get consistent. But there's two strategies that I'm aware of for doing this. And they both start out the same way. To start this room, you want to wait till Mario's somewhere at like the bottom of this row corner between these coins. That's my visual cue. Before pressing right and B. You don't want to press anything as the room starts. If you press right and B too early, like this, then you'll just land right in front of this wall and you'll brush up on it and it'll be awful and you'll lose a lot of time. You'll do what I did at AGDQ pretty much, where I lost 2 frame rules. So to start the room, you don't press anything, you press right and B as you get to this, somewhere in this area. And it'll depend on what you're playing on, what your visual cue is. Because I'm playing on a CRT, so I don't have any input lag or display lag, but if you're on certain emulators or an LCD, you might have to press it when Mario's more even with this middle row. But you press right and then you jump as soon as you hit the ground after doing that. You just want to clear, you just want to get up onto this block. That's your whole goal. And you don't want to do it from brushing up on the wall. And then once you're up here, this is where you have options for which strategy you want to use. You can either do the traditional strat, which is run to the right and do a small jump at the end to get a 380, which is a strat that I find to be a little hard, and I'll show you why. If you happen to get unlucky, you're going to hit what's known as the wall jump pixel, which I, of course, am not hitting a single time here. But if you happen to hit right in the middle of that pipe, Mario will get hung up for a second on his descent, and he'll take longer to fall down to the ground. And it's, unless you do something to actively avoid that pixel, you're going to hit it more often than you would think, although I'm not hitting it at all here. Tutorial luck, I guess. But right there I hit it. Don't ask me to do it again. I'll get into wall jumps when necessary, but for all you need to know right now is that if you do this strat, there's a chance that you're going to hit the pixel right in the middle of that pipe, and it'll slow Mario's fall and prevent you from getting a 380 most of the time. So if you're fine taking that risk, then, or if you hardly ever hit it with the way you do it, that's fine. But that's the first strategy you can use. The second strat, which is the one I use, is to do a much earlier jump, somewhere around here. You'll see it in you see it in the record video, but I'll show it here. I do an earlier jump, and then I adjust my fall as I'm going to guide Mario into that pit. I pretty much just try to get Mario to clear this corner without clipping it. I try to get as close to this corner without clipping it as I can. And then you should land right in front of the pipe, and you'll get a beautiful 380, or a very high 379. It actually isn't necessary. You don't have to get a 380 to get a perfect time in 1-1, but you have to come within a couple of frames of doing it, I think. But if you're just learning to speedrun this category, don't fret over this. Just try to get a high 79 if you can. But that's two kind of easy things you can do. Two easy ways you can do it. So you can take your pick, whichever you're more comfortable with. I think Cosmic, Angergy, and Blubler run to the right and do the small jump, whereas I do the early jump. I want to get a 380 before we continue. There we go. Alright, then you come out here, just don't worry about these Goombas, just run to the right and hit the coin block. And I don't think the Goombas can ever kill you. There's nothing no matter where you hit it, I don't think you can die here. And then for the stairs, you need to get, as we discussed earlier, you want to hit the top of the flagpole, otherwise you're definitely going to lose a frame rule. So don't try to do a full jump from this pipe, because you're going to land on this step, and you're going to have to do an awkward jump. An awkward tiny jump like that. Actually, no, you didn't want to land on that step. You don't want to land on this step, sorry. If you do a full jump from the pipe, you land on the very top step, and you can't reach the flag from this step. So it makes it very challenging to reach the top of the flagpole. Instead, again, you have options here. I jump from the pipe and land on this step. I let off of A little bit early, and then do a small jump up to the top. Boom, top of the flagpole. You can also do a full jump from the ground and then another jump to the top of the stairs. Like that. Whatever you're comfortable with, however you want to navigate these stairs, but every level ends in stairs just about, so you want to know how to do it. And that is it for 1-1. There's not much more to discuss there. There are no safe strats. So now let's continue the video here. Whoops. Alright. 1-2. This is actually, if this is a level where you should be very thankful for frame rules, because this is a very challenging level to do optimally without slowing down at all. Unfortunately, this level has one of the largest windows of leeway to still get the optimal frame rule. You can still get on that good bus. So I play this level safe. So to start out, nothing special, just jump over these buggers. To deal with these Koopas, I suggest hitting the block right there. You'll always hit the first one and hop over the second, however you want to get by it. But now we get to the challenging part. So you can do this without slowing down, like that. But those are very hard jumps. You have to do a smallest jump as possible when you get right in this window, or excuse me, right in this window, because you want to land in front of this Goomba and do another jump immediately. And I find that to be very difficult, and you're going to end up hitting that Goomba, running into him a lot more often than you'd like, and having the reset. So I actually play this safe. I jump here, and I hit left in the air. Right after I make that jump, I hit left. And that slows me down and gives me plenty of time to jump over the next two Goombas at the cost of a few frames. But due to frame rules, you don't actually lose any time. I recommend trying to jump before pressing left instead of doing something like this. I think you lose a few more frames that way, and if you lose too many frames, you will lose a frame rule. So you should try to do the jump and then press left. But this will probably take a lot of practice, because it's just muscle memory. But anyway, after you get past this part, hit that block right there. And that's going to push Mario down. That Goomba's falling down, and you might think that there are certain times where he might touch you. But there's another beautiful thing in this game, and that's if Mario is moving down and he touches an enemy, he will kill it. So even if that Goomba lands on Mario as I'm going down, I will still defeat it. The same goes for Cheeps and the Flying Cheep levels, or Hammer Bros or anything. If Mario's moving down and an enemy is touched, Mario wins. So I always hit that block. Sometimes, depending on how you do this weight, sometimes that Goomba will not be defeated. Sometimes he will be defeated. But you're generally safe doing that. There are certain times when he does get a kill on you, and it's so rare that I wouldn't worry about it. But just hit that block, and you'll either get him or avoid him most of the time. Oh right, sorry, the split. Anyway, so that's this particular section. And now here you have the pipe jumps. Pipe jumps are when you jump on the lip of a pipe when a plant is up, and these plants will always be up if you just run to this area. So your choices are to wait or to do a pipe jump. Actually, it's a double pipe jump. And there's really no trick to this. You just land on this lip of the pipe and you do a jump immediately. You have I don't know how many frames the window is, it depends where you land. But it's just something that you need to become comfortable with if you want to go for a really, really good time in this category. I find it easier if I stare, instead of staring at Mario, I stare at the lip of the pipe here, where I want to land. But you just need to practice and practice until it becomes easy for you. You can hit left to give yourself a little bit of a bigger window, but you should learn to do them without slowing down. Or at least the front ones. I actually do, for this back one right here, this is the second time that I press left and play the level a little bit safe. You have a pretty small window to get this second jump, and if you fail it, Mario just runs into this pit and you hit that pipe and lose time. So I tap left here just to give myself a couple of extra frames to make this jump. And since this level has a big enough window, frame rule wise, it doesn't cost me any time. So you just need to become comfortable with it, because there's going to be more pipe jumps in 8-1. But these are early enough in the run where even if you don't go for the ones in 8-1, you should learn to go for these, because it's like a minute into the run. And once you get past this section, just run off this block onto the elevator, jump up, get on that elevator, come up here, and then here's the warp zone. And of course you'll be wanting to go in pipe 4. Getting down there is not the easiest thing in the world. If you turn around too early up here, you'll stop up here, obviously. If you turn on too late, you will run off, which is actually harder to do than I thought. My visual cue is when Mario hits the W here, or like the W and the O, that's when I start pressing left and Mario slides. He makes it across and slides, and you can jump to the pipe number 4 and head right in. I recommend trying to land at the middle. When you jump over here, try not to land on the right lip of the pipe and hold down as you run, because for whatever reason sometimes Mario doesn't go down the pipe for me. So I instead try to land, well there I just did what I said not to do, but I try to land closer to the middle of the pipe, and that problem went away. And just very quickly, to cover a safer version of that level for somebody just starting out, I'll just run through it one time with the safe strats. if you don't want to, if you just want to play through the level kind of quickly, right here, jump into this cubby, and you'll kick this Koopa and just follow it. Then you don't have to worry about any of these special jumps. And then here, instead of doing the jump, just wait at the base of the pipe and then jump up over. And that's it. No risk whatsoever with these strats. Piece of cake. And then the same up here. And that is World 1. That's 25% of the run. And then 4-1. 4-1 is, this is the easiest level in the run. You should never ever ever have a run here unless you're trying to do something silly. Just keep running at full speed. Lakitu will never be a problem. You can hit coin blocks. If you want to go for the swag coins here, this is where you get yourself in trouble. You can jump on the back lips of these pipes. It's good practice though, because you should get good at those jumps. But if you just want to get over, I think Blecky said you have a 10 frame window to make these jumps. These piranha plants, the teeth cannot hurt you. You'll be surprised at how easy these jumps are if they look dangerous. They're not. It's 100%. It should be 100% for you. And then at the end, the only challenge is hitting the flagpole. So there's really nothing to discuss here. That's just a lull in the speedrun. But now we're getting into a magical level here. 4-2 is where the magic happens. So the record video is going to kind of give away a lot of stuff, but if you've watched the speedrun, you've seen this. So in this level, you're going to do a wrong warp, and I'm going to use a different ROM for this that Jeff XVX created, which is very useful for demonstrating what I'm about to talk about. Whoops. Right here. Alright, so this ROM hack, if you look in the top right corner, the timer has been replaced with exposition. And what that's showing is the number of pixels Mario is from the left side of the screen. So as Mario moves left, it goes down. As Mario moves right, it goes up. And normally as you play this game, once Mario reaches the middle of the screen, he can't go any further on the screen. The camera scrolls with him to keep Mario in the center of the screen, and that just happens to be 112 pixels from the left side. And you can see that Mario is normally lined up, it's about under the rightmost digit in your coin counter. In this case, it's the 6 and 36. This is important later on when I discuss how the wrong warp works. But just to show you how the level's intended to be played, you're supposed to hit this vine block, climb up here, climb this vine, watch this awkward cutscene where the vine comes up, and then Mario comes up, and then he gets off, and then you can continue on. And the pipe that you see the record video going down is quite clearly supposed to take you to this underground coin room. So I'm going to explain how you can manipulate the game into having that pipe send you up into the clouds instead of down into this coin dungeon. Okay. So the way the game keeps track of where Mario is supposed to go when you take a warp is by looking at one global value in memory. Like there's one spot in the game's memory that tells the game where to send Mario if he takes a warp. And by warp I mean climbing a vine or going down a pipe. Anytime Mario does one of those things, this one value in memory is looked at to see where Mario is supposed to go. And that's fine, but there's some levels where there's multiple warps, such as this one. You have a vine here, and then just to the right you have a pipe. So that value in memory has to get updated at some point. And the developers chose to use the screen's position to determine when that value gets updated. So right now, the screen, at some point before I got here, the value was set to the warp zone in the heavens where this vine takes you. And then as I scroll the screen, once I scroll the screen to a certain position, that value memory changes to now say, okay, if Mario takes a warp now, send him to the underground coin room. Because it thinks that with this particular screen position, the only warp he can take is the pipe. So I go down the pipe, and of course it takes me to the coin room. So that works well under normal circumstances, but there just so happens to be a way to push Mario ahead on the screen. So right now I'm at 112 pixels. Well, I can push him further ahead on the screen, and what that allows me to do is reach the warp pipe before the screen is scrolled as far as it normally would for Mario to reach the warp pipe. And you can actually get there so early that the screen hasn't yet scrolled far enough to trigger the update of that value in memory, so it still thinks the only warp Mario can take is the vine, when in fact he can go down the pipe. And the way you do this is to do backward jumps against blocks, like this. Every time I do one of these, Mario's X position goes up. So now, his X position's at 138. I pushed him 26 pixels ahead, and you can visibly see that he's now under the W in world and no longer under the second digit in the coin counter. And by getting pushed this far ahead, I've now reached this pipe before the screen is scrolled far enough to update that value in memory. So when I go down the pipe right now, it's not going to take me to the coin room, it's going to take me up to the warp zone. And not only that, I don't have to watch that cutscene of the vine coming up and then Mario climbing up. We're immediately here, we're immediately in control, and by doing that I think we save about 5 seconds. And that is the wrong warp, and I think that everybody speedrunning this category should do it because it's not very hard to do. As long as you can backward jump, you can do this. And the inputs for doing a backward jump, when you're running, you just want to tap left, then jump, and then hold right again. Left, jump, right. And you can even chain them together. Well, it's actually rather hard to chain them up there, but just as long as you're not holding right when you jump, you'll be good. It's left, jump, right. Left, jump, right. Left, jump, right. Left, jump, right. Oh, I missed that one, but I can just do it off of this pipe. A third one off of that pipe. I bump on 3 objects. Each bump can give you, generally it'll give you 7 to 10 pixels. And in order for the wrong warp to be possible, the value has to be at least 132. Right now I have it exactly at 132. And this is just barely makes it possible, and it's only possible if I go down this specific pixel of the pipe. If I go 1 pixel further, the screen will scroll far enough to trigger that update to the value in memory and it won't work. Actually, excuse me, right here. If I go 1 pixel further from this point, it will not work. But this will. So you need the value to be at least 132 to do it. So 3 backward jumps will always give you a value of 132 or better. Some people might find that hitting that elevator is challenging. I do. You can hit any 3 objects you want. So you can hit this, and then you could hit this, then you could jump over here, and you could hit the pipe for your third one, and that still works. The way I used to do it before I switched to the normal 3 bump method is I would go up here, I would hit that as my first one, that as my second, that as my third, and then go in the pipe. You can hit any 3 things you want, the pipes, blocks, coin blocks, whatever. You just got to do the backward jumps into them. And then as Blecky mentioned in chat, you've seen me hitting... That was a bad save state to make, so I'm going to die here. You've seen me hitting the vine block. That actually has nothing to do with the wrong warp working or not. But I'll show you what happens if you do not hit it. Assuming I can get there. So I hit it, just out of habit. Let's try this once more. Alright, I will not hit it that time. Hey, there's a plant there. The only reason we hit the vine block is to despawn that plant. It has nothing to do with the wrong warp working or not. And also speed has nothing to do with it working or not either. I can sit here, take my time, jump around, do whatever the heck I want. As long as that X value is 132 or higher, it can be done. And the higher it is, that just means the more pixels of leeway you have on this pipe. So if you're at 133, that means you have 2 pixels. You can go down the first 2 pixels in the pipe. If it's 135, you can go down the first, 5 pixels in the pipe? As long as it's 132. And it'll always be 132 or higher if you do 3 bumps. So I encourage you to work the wrong warp into your runs some way or another. One other caveat is that you must come to a complete stop on the pipe before going down it. If the screen is moving, then the trick will not work, and I'll show you what happens if it is moving. Alright. So I got here. If I stop, the wrong warp works. If I just run to the pipe and hold down, did you see how the screen jerked ahead as I went down the pipe? So the game doesn't actually read that value in memory until it's about to take Mario there. So as I'm going down the pipe, the screen scrolls ahead and triggers the update to that value in memory so that it correctly sends me here like it's designed to. So that's why you can't just run on the pipe and hold down. It won't work. You need to come to a complete stop and then go down the pipe, and it takes you here. So you do not have to hit the vine, but you do have to come to a complete stop on the pipe. And if you stop too early, you can inch your way forward and it'll be okay. But if you go too far, you can't go too far and then come back because your X position will be below 132 then. Now, if you watch me or Andrew G or Cosmic soon in the future, you will see us reset on this level many times. And that's because we're attempting... Oh, I should also mention that even though the in-game timer isn't shown, you can see it in my record video. If you're doing the 3-bump method, the optimal in-game time to go down the pipe is a 375. That's what you should aim for. You're going to save time even if it's like anywhere above a 370 or probably 360 something. But the optimal 3-bump time to go down the pipe is a 375. You can see it in the record video down there. But there is, as I mentioned, the X position has to be at least 132, and I also said that you can get 7 to 10 pixels per bump. So that means that if you only did 2 bumps and you got 10 pixels from each one, that you would meet that criteria. You would have 1 pixel on the pipe to go down to do the wrong work. And by eliminating that 3rd bump, you save 1 extra frame rule. You save 21 frames, 0.35 seconds. And the record does that now, so anybody trying to break the record has to do it as well. You can't just do a slower 4-2 and make up the time elsewhere. There is no time to make up anymore in this game. You have to do this if you're going for the record. So we skip the 1st bump, because for whatever reason, bumping up into a block seems to yield 10 pixels less often than bumping down into one. So we hit this coin block. My X position's 121, so I only got a push of 9. So that would be a reset. There I got 8. That's a reset. There I got 10. So that would be a good first bump, but then I missed the elevator, so it's a reset. I have to get 10 from this, 10 from the first one, and then 10 from the elevator. There I only got 8. I only got 9. 9 again. I didn't even hit it that time. 9. There's 10. And there I got 10 from the elevator. So I got 132 using the 2-bump method. Now I just have to come to a complete stop on the first pixel of the pipe and go down it. And I can't stop early and inch my way forward. While it'll work, it's too slow. I have to do it quickly. I have to come to a complete stop on that one specific pixel. This is actually not it. I went one too short. I have to land there. And there I went too far, so it doesn't work. Like, all of these that I'm failing would be resets. There I didn't stop moving in time. There I was 1 pixel too far. 2 pixels too far. Many pixels too far, and I didn't stop moving. 1 pixel too far. And there I hit it right. So that's assuming you even get 10 pixels from each bump to make it possible. You then still have to stop on that one specific pixel in order to save time with that method. And then up in this warp zone, you can just run along the bottom here, do a full jump, and you'll land. When you do a full jump at any set of stairs, you'll land nicely on a particular step, and you can do another jump to get up. So you get up here. This warp zone might look similar to the one in 1-2, but it's actually quite different. The ceiling here is 2 tiles lower, which means that the turnaround strat is very hard. You're likely going to either not fall down, or you're going to go so far that you fall to the right of the pipe. So we do a different strategy here. We jump against that wall, and then jump across. Don't try to jump. You can make the jump from pipe 6 to 8, but don't try to do that. Like, it can be done, but it's a hard jump, and there's no reason. Just jump on the 7 pipe. Now, one thing you'll notice after trying this a few times is that there's another wall jump pixel. Like, every wall has one. Right there, I hit it. And that slows Mario's descent. And it's going to get very annoying taking a gamble, hitting that wall, and having to deal with hitting that pixel sometimes and not others, because it will probably cost you a frame rule. So what I do, I use these clouds as a visual cue and do a full jump right when I pass this crack. So like right about here. Oh, that was too early. There we go. Or too late, rather. I like full jumps because they're consistent. So you brush up on the wall, land on pipe 6, and jump across and go in. Because you can lose runs. I mean, if you're going for the record, every frame rule counts. And I think the very first time Cosmic got Fast 4-2, he lost it in this warp zone because he hit the wall jump pixel. And that is the magic that is level 4-2. Now you understand what the wrong warp is. Alright, 8-1. So as I said, some levels like 1-2 have a big window where you can lose frames and not actually lose any time. 8-1 is the opposite. 8-1, not only can you not afford to lose a single frame if you want the optimal time, but you also will, in my experience, still lose a frame rule about 30% of the time. And it's just the way it is. I think Blubler said that as long as you jump on the top 3 pixels of the flag, you're good, but in my experience, that's not the case for whatever reason. And unfortunately, this level is also very difficult to get the optimal time. You have a lot of pipes. You're going to be doing like 3 pipe jumps, and then it really boils down to doing 3 pipe jumps and then a very tight jump at the end. That's what the level comes down to. So I will show you. You want to jump over this first pipe. Jump over pipe 1. You want to do a pipe jump off of 2, like that. If you jump over this pipe, you're going to fall into the pit with the Buzzy Beetle. But there is a one up there if you need it. You want to do this pipe jump. Skip that one. So you're going to jump over the first tall pipe, do a pipe jump on the second tall pipe, jump over the third tall pipe, and do it on the fourth. So tall pipes 2 and 4, you're going to do a pipe jump. This one, don't do a full jump from here because you're going to land right here. If I do a full jump, I land right there, and that slows you down, obviously, and screws you up. But there's some magic here. So after you do these pipe jumps, if you just keep going, you're going to get here to these 3 Goombas. And those Goombas are going to prevent you from getting up here without slowing down. And every frame counts, so you can't slow down at all. So you can't jump behind them and then get up that way because you have to slow down. There's a 1 frame jump you can make if you jump right before the Goombas get you. I missed it there. There, I got it. You have 1 frame to jump there before those Goombas kill you. And it's a super annoying thing. And I wouldn't run the category if you had to do that. Fortunately, there's a workaround. Since we did that second pipe jump, these 3 Koopas spawn here. If you stomp them, like that, you despawn one of these Goombas. You keep the Koopas around long enough where the third one doesn't spawn. So you can jump in the spot where the third one was and get up here. Just like that. You no more 1 frame jump. You essentially did an extra pipe jump to set up that despawn, so you don't have to do a 1 frame trick. And then at that point, it's just jumping through here. Since this level, as I said before, even if you play the level perfectly, about 30% of the time, I tend to lose a frame rule. And it's some sub-pixel business that I don't want to get into, but I'm just going to tell you to do this. There's a star here, right above me. You want to always hit this star block, but when you jump to hit it, continue holding A until you hit the ground again. I'm told that that does something with your sub-pixel to make it less likely that you'll lose the frame rule, and it appears to be true. So as you run in here, hit the star block and keep holding A until you hit the ground, then you can release it and pretend like you didn't do anything. So this is just a case of don't try to understand it, just do it. And then you just do some more trivial jumping here. And then you have the last pipe jump here. And this one is nice because there's a beautiful visual cue here. At least on CRT with no input lag. I just jump when Mario's in the middle of this. And it sets you, a full jump sets you right up on that pipe lip to do another jump, and this is the easiest pipe jump in the game. It's the only visual cue I use for a pipe jump. It's a piece of cake. Get up here, do a full jump over all those Goombas. Here's a staircase, full jump. Just some simple platforming here. And now you have the Koopa jump. You need to jump behind these Koopas and then over this plant, and you can't slow down. Remember, you have 0 frames to lose in this level. And it looks like you can't do it, but you can do it. There's a few pixels of leeway. And I use a visual cue here. This crack right after the tree, right after the Koopa in the tree, you can see it in the ground tile. That's where I try to jump from. And then I let off A just so I clear this last Koopa. That's my goal. And then I jump as soon as I hit the ground. Just do a full jump. It's very challenging, but you will eventually pick up on it. And you have to do it if you want a chance at the optimal time here. And then the last challenge is going to be a plant that can sometimes be in this pipe. If you don't slow down at all in the level, I don't think the plant ever comes here. Well, it can depend on enemies you kill, but... So I guess depending on how you choose to play the level, sometimes you'll see a plant here and sometimes you won't. And it's scary because most people's strategy here is to jump on the pipe, jump on there, and hit the flag. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you're right. I should change the ROM back. Jump on the pipe, jump there. But it's much safer to just not even use the pipe as a jumping platform. That way you don't care if the plant is there. Just jump over the pipe and take the first and third steps. Piece of cake. Even if the plant's there, it doesn't matter because your strat doesn't change. You don't have to react to anything. I highly recommend doing that. That's just something I recently started doing. Just don't even get in the habit of jumping on that pipe, and you never have to worry about the plant being there or not. And that is 8-1. It's a very scary level with all the pipe jumps. Alright, 8-2. This is another magical level, assuming you're going for the record, or going for a really good time. So let me get the record video queued up here. Alright. So 8-2. So I'm going to show the record strat here first, which is it's just definitely not going to be anything that you need to deal with until you're 100% super good at the rest of the game up until this point. But I'm going to be showing the bullet bill glitch. But that only changes the way the end of the level's done. So 8-2. To start off, you have these bouncing Koopas and you have Lakitu and all sorts of trouble here. Fortunately, there's a very simple way to get through this part of the level. You want to jump on this second step right here. Do a full jump from it. It'll put you up here. And then you want to jump to some coin blocks that are off to the right. And I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Boom, boom, boom. Easy. If you do a full jump from the top step, it's bad because you'll generally land in that little pit that I just narrowly avoided. Like that. Boom, you're dead. So you want to land on these coin blocks, but you don't want to run off of them because that same pit, it's just so cleverly placed that it's going to get you. You want to do a full jump off of there, jump over the pit, then you're good. And then you want to jump over these Koopas. If you watch the record video, you'll see it run under those Koopas. That's frame rule dependent. Sometimes that'll work, sometimes it won't. I know what frame rule I'm on, so I know that it works here, but if you're not sure, there's no reason to take that risk. Just always jump over those Koopas. Boom, boom, boom. And then navigate your way through these cannons. Don't fall into the pits. And also, this Koopa depends on the frame rule as well. Sometimes you'll be able to run. I can find my mouse. Sometimes you'll be able to run under him. Like I know I can do it on this frame rule. Sometimes you won't be able to. It's probably safest to always jump over him. But just like that. Then you never have to worry. He's a little challenging to jump over on the frame rule where you can run under him, but it can still be done. Then you have this big pit. Don't slow down. But this pit is going to scare you at first, because if you're going slow, you're going to get in this situation where you don't have enough speed to get over there. You can't always build up speed. You can make the jump from this pipe, like this. You don't have to go into onto those little platforms to make it across. But it's by far safest just to jump over and not slow down at all. You don't want to get into that habit. And in this pipe, you're forced to press left here. There's just no way to get over this pipe without slowing down. And you have two options for getting over it quickly. Number one, you can slow down and jump over it like that without turning around. That's what you'll see the record do. The inputs, I mean, you just have to get used to it. You want to slow down as late as possible and jump as low as you can to make it across. Because if I take too long like that, I'm going to die. You have to keep your speed partially through the jump in order for it to work. It's just Mario 1 physics that are weird. The other option is to jump on the lip of the pipe, like that. Those are your two approaches. You can choose whatever you're most comfortable with, but both require similar inputs. Yeah, there's going to be a Q&A at the end, so you can ask anything about anything I've covered. But yeah, so getting over the pipe, those are your two options. I mean, if you're getting new, just wait at the bottom and jump up and go across. Then you'll make it to these Koopas. Right? When you get to these Koopas, you need to kill them in a very specific way to set up the bullet bill glitch. You need to do that without slowing down at all. You jump into the first one, hit them, you'll land on the third one, then land on the bullet bill, do a tiny jump here, and then jump up the stairs. We'll do it many times here. Jump like that, and then you set yourself up at the end. It's necessary due to the way the cannons work in this game. Like this save state's on the frame rule that the record's on to allow for the bullet bill shot, because they're random. You need to get it on a certain frame rule to control that. But you have to play the level this way to have a chance at getting a shot that allows you to save time with the bullet bill glitch. It's very challenging, and you have to play perfectly up to this point just to even have this chance. But I want to cover all of the record strats in this tutorial, so that's why we're discussing this. So you come over here. If you see that top cannon shoot to the left, it means you got what we call the non-optimal shot, which is only going to save you one frame rule if you get the bullet bill glitch. If you do not see that cannon shoot, you're probably going to get the optimal shot, which saves 2 frame rules. So I'm going to play it until I get the optimal shot just to show it. You can see it in the record video at the bottom. It's oddly hard to get sometimes, but I swear it's 50-50. Well, at least it feels 50-50, but I don't know. I can't even... You can see that this is not an easy jump to make, even for... top players will frequently screw it up there. Alright, so that was the optimal shot. You want that bottom cannon to shoot to the right as early as possible, and what I just got was the earliest shot we can get. If that top cannon shoots to the left before, then the bottom cannon will shoot to the right later. 1 frame rule, causing you to not save an additional frame rule. But here, we got the shot. We set ourselves up in this position, on this step, waiting for the cannon to get into place for us to do the bullet bill glitch. And I'm going to explain the bullet bill glitch before I actually do it. Normally, when Mario completes a level... Actually, let's go ahead and complete it. Right. Normally, when Mario completes a level, he grabs the flagpole, he goes down, or he sits at the bottom if you got the bottom of it. He gets off, he walks to the castle, and then the timer countdown begins. And when the timer countdown ends, that's when the level ends and the next one starts. What's actually happening there, it's not the fact that Mario's getting to the castle that's triggering the timer countdown. There's actually an invisible block just to the right of the black castle door that Mario ends up walking into, and that's what prevents him from walking past the castle door. In the game, once you touch the flagpole, the game starts checking if Mario is against a block. And when it sees that he is against a block, it says, okay, he's reached the castle. Let's put him in the background so it looks like he went into the castle, and let's start the timer countdown, because the level's over. There's certain ROM hacks that you can use that actually show that Mario's still in that castle door just walking into a block. And if you jump over the flagpole in some levels, you can indeed confirm that there is a block just to the right of the castle door. So it doesn't actually care that he made it to the castle, it just cares that he's touching a block. Now, with the bullet bill glitch, we're going to clip into this block that the flag is sitting on and grab the flag from inside of it. And SMB1 doesn't let Mario stay inside of blocks, it zips him or ejects him. So as soon as he grabs that flag, the game's going to say, okay, Mario's in a block. It ejects him out to the left. And suddenly Mario is immediately touching a block, so the game thinks he's already reached the castle. So it'll put him in the background, and it will start the timer countdown. And it skips the whole animation of the flag coming down and Mario walking to the castle. Which you would think would save a lot of time, but since we have to wait for the bullet bill to get in position, it actually ends up only saving 0.7 seconds optimally, which is 2 frame rules. Or 1 if you get the non-optimal shot. So now I'll demonstrate the glitch. You basically, so I'm doing the backward jump strat here. I'm facing left, I'm going to do a backward jump up to here. The inputs are jump right. You want to land as far to the left here as you can, run for a little bit, and jump kind of right about there. And it looks kind of like that. So Mario, I temporarily clipped into the block, grabbed the flag, got ejected to the left. The game says, okay, Mario's touching a block and he's already touched the flag. Puts him behind the background, that's why the bush is in front of him. And the timer countdown started immediately. The flag never came down, Mario never walked to the castle. So back to here, the visual cue to start all this, when the bullet bill is right about there, halfway in, halfway out, or maybe a little bit more out, is when I do the jump. Again, this is CRT timing. If you're on an LCD, it might be a level earlier. As long as you hit the bullet bill, it should be possible. But even knowing like the cue and everything, it's not an easy glitch to pull off. I've never even done it 3 times in a row myself in practice with save states. But you just kind of run, jump, and pray. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. That's the way the game goes. So don't feel bad. I think my success rate is, if I sit here with save states and practice over and over, maybe about 30%. So it's just a really weird thing that can happen. This is like the last trick you should add to your speedrun, because not only do you have to play everything perfectly up until this point, but you're essentially throwing the run away by trying this and failing it. Right? Now there's an alternate strat here, which is what Andrew G and Cosmic do. Instead of the backward jump, they'll run into this block. And when the bullet bill is right in the middle of this column, you'll do 2 short hops and then a full hop. So watch. Like this. Just like that. You can do it one way or the other, whatever you're most comfortable with. You can practice and see, but both of them are equally good. The one way isn't faster than the other. You just kind of jump and have it happen or not happen. And I think I just did get it 3 times in a row. No, I've done it 3 times in a row. I've never done it 4. But anyway, that's the bullet bill glitch. It's a very finicky thing. Most of the time you're not going to get it. But yeah, you have to play the level in the very specific way that I just did it. In order, you have to be on the right frame rule. Which means you have to arrive at this level on a specific frame. And you have to play the level exactly as I described it as I was going through it. Hitting those 2 specific Koopas, never slowing down except at that pipe. Then you should get one of 2 shots here, either the optimal or non-optimal shot. Now, if we're going to talk... Oh, right. So if you're not going for the bullet bill glitch, you're going to have to deal with the Koopa, this Koopa that's on these stairs. And he's a very formidable foe. There's generally 3 things that he can do, and actually, I've created a save state showing each of the 3 things. and you're going to have to adapt to him as you get here. So you're going to get to this part of the level, and you're going to be touching the flag. This is the pattern where he jumps high enough where you can go under him. If you see when he spawns, he's moving upward. He's just starting a jump pretty much. So you can easily go under him, get up here, and touch the flag. Piece of cake. You have to identify that he's doing that. You see that he's jumping up, so you say, okay, I'm going to go under him. And we're good. Another thing you can do is jump low. In this scenario, you can't get under him. He's coming down, or he's just finishing a jump as he spawns. So what you need to do in this case is jump and fall down as you hit him, and use the push from him to carry you to that little column, and then jump from there to the end. So you pretty much always want to jump like around here, and then you want to adjust your jump in the air based on what he's doing. You have to identify the pattern here, because you cannot get under the low Koopa, and you cannot hit the high Koopa. And then the other pattern is dumb Koopa, which is the really nice one, where he just jumps in the pit and you don't have to care about him at all. So that's one benefit of the bullet bill glitch, is that you don't have to worry about that Koopa. But when you're learning the game, you're not going to be set up for the bullet bill glitch, so that Koopa is going to be an issue. Now, if you're just starting the game, safe strats in this level, nothing there. There is a power-up, the safety shroom, right here. You can run off the second cannon, hit the Koopa, get the safety shroom, and then continue on. This shroom will serve you well in 8-3, because when you're just starting out and you're arriving on very different frame rules to 8-3, you're going to want a mushroom, because even top players don't know what the Hammer Bros are going to do. And you get to this jump, do whatever you want there, and some people find these Koopas hard to deal with because they're kind of random. Sometimes you'll want to... I generally, if I don't know what they're going to do, I'll run up here, go under the first one or first two, even as Big Mario, and then jump as soon as I can to the cannon. But if you don't want to deal with them, a lot of people take this pipe. Please don't take this pipe. But you can take this pipe, and it comes out right where the Koopas would be, but they're not there. That is a strat that you can do. But beyond that, there's really not a whole lot of challenge there. But yeah, if you're still very new, I suggest shrooming up. Oh, and I should explain. This level is the reason why we wait at the title screen. So if I go back, if I actually put in the real cart, and this is also the reason why I run on the multi-cart. So here I have the actual real cart up, and here's a little live split window. If you start the game up and press start immediately at the title screen and gain control, it should be exactly 3.27 seconds from power on to gaining control. Wait, why can't I reset? Oh, I never started it, that's why. Right. So watch this. And power on from the multi-cart is choosing the game from this menu. So I'm going to start the timer as soon as I choose the game here, and I'm just going to mash start. Well, I didn't actually start the timer. Watch this. See, the minus sign disappeared exactly when I got control of Mario. That's because frame rules happen at the title screen as well. So as long as you hit start, I think you have an 11 frame window or something. 3.27 is the appropriate freeze timer to use if you're starting from power on. Or if you're, excuse me, starting on the first possible frame rule, just mashing start. If you're going to go for the bullet bill glitch, you need to arrive at 8-2 on a very particular frame rule. So if you watch me do speedruns on world record pace, I use a freeze timer of 3.97. That's 0.7 seconds later. That's 2 frame rules later. That will yield the proper RNG on 8-2 for the bullet bill glitch, assuming you make no mistakes elsewhere in the run. You do everything in the human theory task. You do fast 4-2, you do perfect 8-1, you do everything perfectly. So in this case, when I reset, I still start everything at the same time, but I press start later. I wait until I see it become -2 and then I press start. So the timer's still accurate, but now I'm 2 frame rules later in the game's RNG cycles. And as long as I don't make any mistakes up to 8-4 or 8-2, I'll be on the right frame rule for the bullet bill glitch. If you're just starting out, use a freeze timer of 3.27. You're not doing bullet bill glitch. You don't care about manipulating things. So just use 3.27. Start the freeze timer at power on, and then go to town. Or you can just use no freeze timer and start your splits as soon as you gain control of Mario. Whatever's easiest for you. And in my case, since I'm starting my freeze timer at power on, it's easier for me to sync that up with choosing Super Mario Bros. From the multi-cart menu, because I just hit a button on my controller when I start my splits, versus starting my splits when I press the power button on the console, which I would have to do if I was on the standalone cart. That's the only reason I use the multi-cart. But the gist of it is that if you're going for a world record, use a freeze timer of -3.97 and do everything perfectly. If you're on the 3.27 frame rule, it means you can lose 2 frame rules. If you lose 2 frame rules, you'll end up on the right frame rule for 8-2 to do the bullet bill glitch. If you start at 3.62, then you can lose 1 frame rule. It's just it all kind of balances out. Yeah, pretty much. Probably more information than you needed to know, but someday one of you is going to be going for the record, and you'll be glad that I mentioned this, because I did 1,000 runs before I realized I was waiting the wrong amount of time at the title screen. Anyway, with that, let's go on to 8-3. Oh, I actually killed those splits. So 8-3. 8-3 is a very, very easy level once you know what frame rule you're on. So I actually don't know what frame rule this save state is, so we're going to find out together. But the reason you want accurate splits, especially when you beat level 8-2, is you're going to look at your split, your delta, and that's going to tell you what the... Oh, thank you, Nick. That's going to tell you what the Hammer Bros are going to do. So let's say you're in a speedrun, and you beat 8-2, and you end up being 2 frame rules ahead, so you're minus 0.7. That alone doesn't tell you what's going to happen in this level. So you're going to play it, and maybe you'll die to the Hammer Bros at the end, because they'll jump when you don't expect it. But you then know that every time you're minus 0.7 out of 8-2, the Hammer Bros are going to do exactly what you just saw them do. So you might keep a set of notes that say, okay, if I'm 2 frame rules ahead after 8-2, I need to jump over the 3rd Hammer Bro but run under the 4th one. Stuff like that. And it applies to these early Hammer Bros too. What you just saw me do there is a double kill, and you should definitely learn how to do that. because you're going to be encountering every type of pattern possible when you're first learning this. You jump over this piranha. If you get this pattern, you want to jump up, hit that block under the top bro, and you'll land nicely into the belly of the bottom bro and get the double kill. Yeah, it looks very cool. It impresses everybody. It's great. When you fail it, it looks like that. So you do that, and don't worry about these stairs. Just jump from this crack right here or later. I use that crack as a visual cue, but you can jump a little bit later and you'll clear the stairs, clear that whole pit. Piece of cake, nothing special. If you have a mushroom from 8-2 at this point, you'll have to do a crouch jump here. You could still do it, it's just a little bit trickier. But with practice, you'll pick it up pretty easily. And if you need a mushroom, there's one right here. You can get it. And there's actually a little glitch you can do with the mushroom grabs where you can get a second jump. Because if you just do this, then you land on these stairs very awkwardly and you can't really get your footing again. And you're gonna look, that's what happened to GDF at AGDQ. He hit these stairs, and when you're running down the stairs, you can't. You can obviously jump off of them, but it's very hard to do. You're more than likely just going to end up in that pit. So the way to do this double jump is you want to jump up to the mushroom, but release the jump button before you collect it, and then during the animation, hold jump again, and it kind of buffers a second jump in the air, and you can just do amazing things that way. And then when you get to this set of bros, so I'm not going to get the mushroom this time. When you get to this set of bros, you're going to want to look. You're going to see the leftmost bro first. And he's either going to be on the top, bottom, or middle. And you basically want to go either on the top or the middle, wherever he is not. So in this case, I prefer the top. I went top because I see, okay, he's not there, so I'm going to go up there. If I wait here, he might be different. Maybe I messed it up. Let me see if I can get a different pattern. Yeah. So up there, he was actually at the top. You need to see where he is and adjust your jump as he comes onto the screen. So you either are going to go on the top or the middle, wherever he isn't. And you're going to hope that the second bro isn't in your path. The worst pattern I think you can get is when the first bro's on the top and the second bro's in the middle. In which case you just are going to do that same double kill that I showed you earlier in the level. And then after this, oh yeah, I guess I should mention there is another power up here if you do find yourself needing it. But anyway, so now you get to the gauntlet here at the end. These 4 bros will end many runs. Because these are the guys, these 2 specifically, you don't know what they're going to do. Sometimes they'll let you jump over them, sometimes you won't be able to jump over them. This is where knowing your frame rule is critical. You'll want to... I mean, early on, I recommend getting a mushroom and just powering through this part so that you can take the hit and not ever lose a run that way. But once you get consistent enough at levels 1-1 through 8-2, where you start to get to 8-3 on maybe one of 5 or 6 different frame rules, that's when you'll want to start going small only and keeping track of the frame rule you're on and saying, okay, if I'm plus 0.3 after 8-2, they're going to do this. If I'm minus 0.7, they're going to do this. So that way you know, and you don't have to lose a run more than once on any particular pace. And then every time you PB, you'll adjust your notes so that you know for the next time. The first 2 bros, for whatever reason, don't seem to be a problem. So in this case, I was jumping, and he jumped, so I let off my jump, and I'm going to hit him, but as long as I'm not moving up, I get the kill. Like, I can hit them in the belly. You generally want to be not moving up when you encounter the bros, because they'll kill you if they jump up into you. But as long as you're moving down, you get the kill. You can actually use that to... You can kind of jump... If you do the smallest possible jump, it's very hard to do, but you can just run up to them and jump into their stomachs. Maybe not with that particular pattern. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's just something that it shows off the belly kill a little bit better. Anyway, so you'll run through this, and then assuming you didn't slow down at all in the level, you're going to get a 3 on the timer if you don't delay at the end, and that means 3 fireworks. So just do a little delay here. I do this strat. You have to delay and still hit the top of the flagpole. So you can't just jump to the... You can't just come down here, wait, and then jump on it. That'll lose a frame roll. I delay like this. I think Cosmic and Andrew G do a delay like... A harder delay, in my opinion, like where they brush up on a... Do a backward jumps into a block like that. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. But if you're just running straight through the level without slowing down, you're going to have to delay at the end. Or delay somewhere, but brushing up on the blocks is a consistent way to delay. But 8-3 is a simple, trivial level. Really, the hardest part of it's probably just brushing up on a block at the end, but even that's not so bad. Like, as long as you know what's going to happen, it's a piece of cake. But you want to delay just because if you run through the level uninhibited the entire way, you're going to get a 3 on the timer. I messed around in this particular run through the level, so that's not going to happen, but if you run straight from the beginning of the level to the end without slowing down, you'll get a 3 on the timer, and you'll have fireworks and lose like a 1.5 seconds or something. So every record from now on, you'll see delay there at the end. All right, final level of the game, and it's a whopper. Alright. So the very first level starts out with a good strat. I encourage all of you to learn this. This little stair jump, you want to just run and jump. Hold B and right and jump at the right time. If you miss up the jump, you're going to fall in the pit. You can jump high, that's okay. You just got to hit this jump. I feel so bad when I see people just kind of inch their way ahead here and jump over it like that, because it's you can learn this. You can learn this, and otherwise you're going to lose a couple of seconds doing something safe, and even the safe strat can get you killed sometimes. In trying to inch your way down these stairs, sometimes you'll just overshoot it like that. Just run and jump. You'll get it. You'll get it. It's not that bad. After that, run over here, pick a Goomba that you want to hit. Probably want to hit the second or third one. Probably want to hit the second one. I never really messed with the other ones. I think you might be able to jump over all of them too. No, I guess you can't. So yeah, hit the second Goomba. Jump up here. Now you have an option. You need to get over this pit to over there. Yes, there is a little platform down here in case you didn't know. It kind of blends in with the lava. You can do a straight jump over this entire pit. I believe it's a 3-frame window. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But you can also just run right off onto the platform like this. That's the safer way of doing it. And you're probably going to lose a couple of frames that way. But if you're not comfortable making the jump over that lava... I mean, there's really no reason to do the lava jump unless you're really concerned with every frame. So you have an option here. And then for whatever reason, this piranha plant always disappears. I don't know why, but you can't die to that piranha plant. It just can't, it just, for whatever reason, it's like that. This is the pipe you want to go down. Try not to overshoot it. And that's room 1. Room 2. This is where things get very interesting. So the optimal playthrough of this room, you want to hold B and right to start. And when I say optimal, I mean non-TAS or non-perfect 8-4 strats. You come out of this pipe holding B and right, you're going to walk into this pit. You have 1 frame to jump out of this pit without slowing down, like that. If you jump too late, you're going to brush up on the pipe. If you jump too early, you're obviously not going to jump at all. If you want to be perfect, you want to jump there. And the only reason I do this 1 frame jump, you can tap left to make it a lot easier. You're going to lose time, but you can tap left there, and you'll get it every time. The only reason I do the 1 frame jump is because I think it makes the next trick easier for me. And the next trick is the wall jump. So you're going to do the 1 frame jump here. And then you're going to come up here, and you're going to want to jump over this Koopa and hit the back lip of this pipe. And then you're going to want to just run off of this pipe. And then you're going to land here. You're going to do a backward jump. So you want to face left as soon as you land and do a full jump. And it'll set you up to hit the wall jump pixel on this pipe, allowing you to do a wall jump up to the pipe and not have to reveal this hidden coin block. There you saw Mario right there. That was like, I'm stunned that I hit this in the tutorial, but that's the 1 frame that you have to jump. You can see that Mario's standing on nothing. I can buffer a jump when you can actually buffer inputs in this game, so I'm buffering jump. When I unpause, I think he'll jump here. Yeah. So that is the wall jump. You have 1 frame to hit that jump. And the reason you face left for it is because Mario accelerates faster, just like we learned for the flagpole. He accelerates faster, moving in the direction opposite that of which he's facing. So the wall jump slows his horizontal speed to 0. And then as you clear the pipe, you want to get to the middle of it as quickly as possible, which will happen faster if you're facing left. I actually haven't hit it once yet, facing left, which is kind of bad. It's actually really bad. Well, that wasn't it either. I think it's because I didn't do the 1 frame jump. No, I did do the 1 frame jump. Well, it's disappointing that I'm unable to show this off. Let's reset the room. Actually, I don't have a save state there. And I'm on my last life. Let me reload a save state here. Yeah, I think I'd done something differently. So I'm gonna get back to that room. We're just gonna do the whole room here. So I got the 1 frame jump there, hit that, and boom. That's why there's something about this room where if you do the 1 frame jump, it seems to make the wall jump easier. I don't know what it is, but that's the only reason I go for it. And it could all be in my head, but anyway. All right, let's do it. Let's get up there once more, and then we'll move on. Maybe once more. Oh, right. Nick J brings up a good point. If you... So let's say you don't do a full jump here. I jump over, I hit that Buzzy Beetle. Well, now there's a Piranha Plant up there, so even if I get the wall jump, I'm gonna die. So don't hit the Buzzy Beetle. You can either do a soft jump from the one frame, like this, and jump over them, or do a full jump, like that, but just don't hit the Buzzy Beetles. I can't get it, so we're just gonna move on. But the challenge doesn't end yet. So here we're doing another wrong warp. The intended pipe to go down is this one right here. Takes you to the water section. And this earlier pipe right here clearly takes you back to this is the beginning of the level. Those are the intended pipes, but it's faster to do a wrong warp here. You scroll the screen far enough, and then you go back and go in this pipe, and now you're to the water. The exact pixel, the optimal pixel you want to hit is this one. And it looks like nothing's cut off on the capture, so my visual cue is by looking at these blocks right here on the right, but you can use any set of blocks you want on the edges of the screen, but this is the minimum amount you need to scroll the screen right before backtracking. So if I backtrack here, it'll work. If I go here and do the one pixel before it, which would be right here, it does not work. So the strat here, run up here, I turn around here. Cosmic does this differently, but I do a turnaround jump here. And as soon as like the right, Mario's left side kind of lines up with the pipe here, that's when I start pressing left again. And his momentum will carry him far enough where the screen should scroll far enough to trigger the wrong warp, and I can get back to the pipe quickly. You'll probably want to play it safe. Like right there, I think I went 2 pixels further than I needed to. There's no harm in playing this safe. Just make sure you get it right. But be aware that the longer you're in this room, the more opportunities you have for the cheeps to assassinate you. But that's the trick. And one thing I want to say is that when you land, don't jump immediately back to the pipe. Don't do something like this, because you're either not going to make it, or you're going to make it slowly. Try running on the ground as long as you can to get back to the pipe, like that, where you almost clip through the corner. That seems to be a faster way to get there. Alright, water section. Oh, jeez. Hang on, let me die. I just made a save state. This is the room that nobody gets perfectly in the record. So I'm going to play back through this level. I don't know why I can't hit that wall jump, but... Alright. Back to the water. This is going to be one of the levels where I kind of just say, do what I do, or come up with your own strat. But I'll tell you the truth, I just did it again. Sorry, I keep accidentally making save states. And then running out of lives. But basically, in the water section, there's 2 points where you're going to lose time. The idea is that you do not want to touch the ground at all, and there's 2 places where it's very easy to touch the ground. And that would be in the very middle where the fire bar is, and then at the very end when you're exiting the water section. So I'll show you my best attempt at an optimal water. I start by buffering. I buffer a swim out of the pipe, and then it'll get me to about here, and I swim again, neutral swim before I hit the ground. So swim, 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 swim. Right there, I went under that fire bar. That's what you want to do. You don't want to touch the ground there at all. And then you want to swim before you hit the ground. And in this game, a lot of people don't know this, but you have two methods of swimming. Actually, maybe a good visual cue's down here. If you just tap A, Mario, he goes up to about there. That's just with a neutral A tap, nothing special. If you hold A, Mario doesn't swim as high. If I hold A, he goes there. It's just a few pixels lower than a full swim like that. But that makes a lot of difference. It's your only method of control in the water. Holding A versus tapping A. Hold, tap. You can see that he goes higher just from a tap. So I do tap, 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 hold, hold, tap, tap, hold. And that was like a perfect water section. I swam into the pipe, I didn't touch the ground at all. That's my particular strat. I'm not going to discuss all of these places I'm doing it. You can just do what I do, or come up with your own strat. Everybody does it a little bit differently. It's just whatever you're comfortable with, but your main goals are don't touch the ground. And there's one other thing you can do if you do touch the ground. When you're in the water, you don't have, once you get up to full speed, you no longer have to press right on the D-pad. You'll continue swimming at whatever speed you're at when you let go of right. So I'm not pressing right now, but I continue to swim at full speed. Hitting right doesn't slow you down, but if you touch the ground and you're holding right, you're going to lose more speed than you would if you were not holding right. So my recommendation is do not hold right unless you've already touched the ground and have lost speed, in which case you should get off the ground and then press right again to get back up to maximum speed. It's a very subtle difference, but it does make up frames. Just don't hold right when you're swimming after you reach full speed. Only hold right to get yourself back up to full speed when you're not on the ground. And then we approach the final room here. And a lot of people call this fellow right here the final boss, because you end up getting stuck and having to try to get around him and wait for him and try to slide under him like that, and then come up there and whatever. But there's a foolproof method of defeating this hammer bro. No, you do not have to hold right to get in the pipe in the water section. Momentum will carry you in there, as long as you don't hit the pipe. So if you land on the ground in front of the pipe in the water, and you're not holding right, Mario will kind of glide into the pipe. The only time you have to hit right is if you hit the pipe too high, and you actually get stopped. Which is what I did in my tragic speedrun. But anyway. The strat here, you come out of this pipe, you hold right in B, and you jump kind of right after you hit the floor, and you'll always hit that bro in the face, and it feels really good. And then you carry momentum up there. The only risk with this technique is if you happen to do like a frame perfect jump, like this. Then you land right in front of him and die. So just don't be perfect. is pretty much the rule. Depending on your frame rule, sometimes this Podoboo will jump so low that Mario can't get under him. So if you don't know the frame rule you're on, and you like are way ahead and want to preserve a PB, don't challenge this Podoboo. Just wait for him to go down and then jump over. But if you don't have more than a couple seconds to spare, then just go for it. But I just want you to be aware that there is a Podoboo here that can be low enough where you can't make the jump. And you come up here, and then sometimes Bowser is going to jump forward like he is right now. If he does that, just run right under him and get the axe. Bowser's pattern is going to be different depending on the frame you enter the room, but if you see him jumping forward to start, just run right under him. No need to do anything else. And then hit the axe, and that's time. Let's see if I can change his pattern by waiting here. Yeah, so now he's not doing something different. If he's not jumping forward, you're going to have to wait on him to jump a second time. And if he's at the very back, sometimes you have to wait on to jump a third time. But after the second jump, he's going to start shooting fire, so you better back up and then go in and then get under him. But if you're doing like super serious speedrun attempts, record attempts, you have to jump through his hammers like that. You just have to jump and pray. So now I'm going to open it up for questions from the chat. So if you do not have any questions, please don't say anything just to eliminate the spam. But I will show it on the stream here. Yes, King Hippo, I do not think that you can hit the axe going up. We shall try it. For whatever reason, I just don't think it's possible. I mean, that was kind of it. You want to hit the axe as far to the left as you can. It doesn't necessarily have to be the lowest point or the highest point, just as far to the left. How does Fire Mario change the run? I think, so I'm not covering fire strats here. I think that you want to get the mushroom in 1-1 at the beginning, and then the fire flower at the beginning of 1-2. But I do not know the optimal fire strats. If you want, you can look at the best of Ness race between Blubbler and I, because he did get fire strats, and I went small only, and we both got like in the 5-15 range. Is left plus right possible in RTA, and does it provide any advantages? I think left plus right, I forget exactly how it's used in the task. It's not allowed in RTA, first of all, but in the task I think it's used in level 8-4 to get acceleration faster as you come out of the mini pipes in that level. It doesn't actually save time on any level prior to 8-4 because it doesn't save a frame rule. What was my first time in this category? The first time that I highlighted was a 5:02. I don't know what my first speedrun was, though. What are some ways you know you missed a frame rule outside of splits? Oh, right. So, if I just start the game up here... Oh, well, that was a bad idea. If I just start the game up here... If you watch at the top of the screen, you see that flashing coin by my coin counter. You can look at the state that coin is in when a level ends to tell what frame rule you're on. I don't actually know all the levels, but generally that coin's going to be at a different state if you end the level on a different frame rule. So whatever state it's in when the screen turns black will tell you, allow you to determine the frame rule you're on. But you kind of need to know from your timer whether it being lit up is a good thing or a bad thing on any particular level. I know that on level 8-1 you want it to be lit up when the screen turns black, but I don't know the other levels because I use my splits to tell if I lost a frame rule. The subpixel business in 8-1 I cannot explain all that well. I just know that even if you play through the level without slowing down at all, and you hit the flagpole at the end, sometimes I lose a frame roll and sometimes I don't. But I'm told that hitting the star block and holding A until Mario hits the ground again helps with that. So I do it every time. But I cannot actually explain why it is the way it is. Task strats that could be viable for RTA. The only one I'm aware of that has any chance right now is the flagpole glitch on 1-1, but I'm not covering that because it isn't RTA viable right now. But you can Google for flagpole glitch on, or look at the, if you Google SMB1 knowledge base, I think, or SMB1 SDA. I can't actually type it in right now, but if you Google SMB1 SDA, you should find the knowledge base. Yeah, so I use the dog bone controller for my NES when I play this game, just because the D-pad is more comfortable. Holding the D-pad for so many hours on end on the regular rectangle controller was very painful for my thumb, so I switched to the dog bone. That's the only reason. I actually don't like the button placement on the dog bone, but I've gotten used to it, so it's just a preference. I use a GV USB 2 capture card. Does Wii U Virtual Console require calculation? I don't know if anybody's done a run on the Wii U Virtual Console. I'm assuming it's the same as the Wii Virtual Console, but if you have a run recorded on that method, you can contact any of the moderators on the SMB1 leaderboard at speedrun.com, and they can help you time it. But your live split timer is perfectly fine until you get to really crazy times. Tin Man, I don't want to talk about those. There are no other wall jumps that are useful in 8.4 other than the one we do. Like, I don't know where else you would do a wall jump in 8.4. It's the state that the coin is in when the screen turns black. When you're actually on the black screen, it's always going to be lit up, but it's the state it's in as it transitions to the black screen. Fast acceleration I'm not talking about because it's not a strat currently being used. I mean, basically, it's whenever you come out of a pipe, instead of just holding B and right, you would hit left, do a tiny jump, and then jump again. So you do something like that every time you come out of a pipe in 8.4, and that accelerates faster than just running. That's it. If you need to slow down for certain things, 1-1 underground pipe jumps. No. Releasing when you're in the air in this game, unless you press left, you'll remain at the same speed you were at when you went into the air. Or rather, if you're at maximum speed, hitting B or not hitting B while you're in the air doesn't affect your speed. Only pressing left does. Mario maintains his speed in the air. So that's why when you see me make save states, it'll always be when I'm in the air. So, because taking my thumb off of B doesn't affect my speed that way. Re-explain the star block in the previous level and the frame rules. I'm not going to re-explain frame rules because it's already covered in full earlier in the tutorial, so you can just watch the highlight or the YouTube video. And the star block is explained as well, so I'm not going to cover it again here. Are there any other questions? Blecky, do you have all the information that you need now to get a sub 5? Can you clarify inputs for stopping on the 4-2 pipe? Yes, let's revisit 4-2. You basically just hold left until Mario stops moving, and then you hit down. Oh, that was a horrible mistake. Can I even do it here? Yeah, I could still do it. Okay. Yeah, you just come to a stop and then go down. Hold left. It's just something you'll get a feel for when you do it. But you hold left, and Mario will go in his sliding state, and then you hit down once he stops it. I just have a feel for it, so I actually let go of left before he stops, because I know he's about to stop, so I can get my thumb onto the down button. Oh, right, Shuver makes a good point. Well, it's not so... It doesn't really change what you're going to do, but if Bowser doesn't jump forward for you, and you need to jump through his hammers, the reason that works is because the game can only have so many active hitboxes on the screen at once. So that's why you're able to sometimes jump right through his hammers and not get hurt. But it doesn't really affect how you approach the level. Generally, if I'm going to jump through his hammers, I try to jump as close to his face as I can. But sometimes the sweet spot isn't there, so you just kind of jump and hope. Yeah, Blackie, you'll learn to get a feel for when he's going to stop after you do it 7,000, 8,000 times. I think there's one like if you can go down the pipe on the last frame that Mario's sprite is in the skidding animation, and it will still work, but you don't actually try to do that, but it can happen. Yes, Bowser can only do those two things. And I don't jump at a particular time, I just try to jump. As I said, I try to jump and be reasonably close to his face when I do it, but that's just me. You could also just try to make a jump such that you'll hit the axe if you're successful. Because sometimes if you jump through, you might not do a full jump, or you might jump too early or something and actually not reach the axe, which is horrible. So I would recommend, and when you're practicing, if you have access to save states, which I think you will, just anytime you get to that room, make a save state and see if you can jump through whatever pattern he gives you. And keep trying until you find the sweet spot. Generally, it's, as I said, I try to jump close to his face, but sometimes that's not it. But you just can't tell when you're playing live, so you basically want to avoid touching him, because that's an automatic death. A good beginner time? I think that if you put effort into this, using everything, the knowledge I taught you on this, I think sub 6 isn't unreasonable. Like, I would think that you would, if you have a deathless run, it should be sub 6. Yes, running this game on emulator is perfectly fine, and there are no differences. Thanks, Rions. I covered, even though for people watching this tutorial, the record strats probably aren't all that relevant, but for somebody who masters the easy things, I wanted a resource that they could come to see how they can actually go for the record if they choose to. I cannot answer that, Wind. I don't know. I know that both are fine, but I don't know if they're functionally identical. So if there are no more questions, then I'm going to stop the recording right now. And I might do... I really should get to bed, but I might do a couple of runs just to give you... in case there are people here who don't normally watch me. Just to give a feel for how the flow of things goes. Alright. Stopping the recording.